What is going on, everybody? Welcome to North Shore 9. We got a special episode today. It's a WNS 9 Plus, which means we've got a guest. So I'm Jim. With me, as always, is Anthony DiNardo. And Tyler is running a little bit late, so he'll be joining in a few minutes here. But joining the show tonight is Hannah Mears from SportsNet Pittsburgh. Hannah, welcome to the show. First time on. Excited to have you on.
Yeah.
Thanks for hopping on.
Thanks. Yeah, I see you guys all the time when you come to spring training, so it's fun to finally get to jump on here. That was a cool little intro. You updated it with the most recent interview of David Bednar, so you guys are following along. It's great.
There we
But
go.
I'm excited to be here tonight. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no,
We do some things a little more than mediocre, so that's it. Don't expect too much more now.
No, just hit par. All you've got to do is hit par. Perfect.
There it is.
Oh, we got some Penn State fans already in the chat.
Oh, perfect. We are. I have some loyal Penn State followers, which is so sweet.
It's a big wrestling weekend too for Penn State, isn't it?
Oh,
Isn't
huge.
it right?
Yeah, huge wrestling weekend for me. I actually just watched a wrestling event before coming on to this. There's like a new wrestling league called the CWA, and they're trying to bring folk style into like a professional world. So long story short, just watch that. But then NCAA March Madness takes up a long chunk of my year every year. Love being invested into that.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. But like I said, again, thanks for hopping on. Like I said, we've got a lot to talk about. Really want to just kind of introduce you to our audience. Yeah. So we'll let you, tell some stories, give us some insights from the locker room, the clubhouse, the sidelines, all that good stuff. But I mean, how's spring training treating you so far? It's your second year doing this. So what's the biggest difference between like the first spring training and then like this spring training for you?
I know what I'm doing. I know people.
Okay.
I know that sounds basic, but it's so true. My first spring training was sort of the way that I introduced myself to everybody, because there's really, in this industry, it's so nobody's going to hold your hand. Like, yes, you're going to have so many people help you along. And my producer, Adam, had been down here with me that first week of spring training last year, just to sort of introduce me a little bit to people and just show me the ropes. But when it comes to a clubhouse setting, like, no one's going to hold your hand, walk in there and tell you like, hey, this is Hannah, or introduce people or do anything. And I remember last year walking into the clubhouse and just like stopping everyone and being like, excuse me, hi, my name's Hannah. I'm probably going to be here a little bit. Nice to meet you if you see me around. And that was sort of just like the introduction I gave to the players. And they were all like, okay, cool, awesome, nice to meet you. So it was a little overwhelming last year, like having to just kind of put yourself out there and meet people and talk. And so this year, I feel like I kind of came in with a leg up. It wasn't all the background research. Like, it was a lot more of a foundation. I knew the storylines. I knew what guys to really talk to right away, who to focus on. And it just makes your life so much easier when you're prepping for shows, when you already have that foundation. Whereas last year, I feel like I was getting to know so many of these guys, first and foremost as people, and then learning more of them on the baseball side, and then trying to figure out what the main storylines were heading in. And obviously I had followed the team, so I've known some of it, but you don't really know all like the nitty gritty bits of everything until you're really immersed in it all. So I would say I felt like the biggest difference was coming in with just that foundation of actually knowing people, feeling like you belong, you're supposed to be here, and you have a clue of what's going on and how to prepare, so you're not just like driving yourself crazy 24/7, because spring training every day feels like the same. We always say every day feels like Tuesday, so you can get kind of immersed in a whirlwind down here if you're not careful.
That is true. Like, I notice when I'm down there, I have just no concept of time.
You don't. Like, you never know what day it is.
No clue what day it is. Well, because every game's at 1. There's like it's a 1:00 game every day. It's like the same thing. There's no difference between a Sunday and a Wednesday and a Thursday. Whereas during the course of the season, you usually know kind of where you're at throughout the course of a week.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's when you're down here, everybody, it's funny watching people come at different points because they'll all hit that wall eventually, and you'll just, like, see it on their face one day that they've hit that wall, and one of our, social media girls, Grace, like, we saw it in her face the other day, and I just started laughing. I was like, "She has hit the spring training wall after being down here for a few weeks." You just see it on people's faces because 'cause they're like, "What day is it?" And, like, "What am I doing today?" But it's the beauty of it too because 'cause you're so immersed in it, and it's fun. And every day is the same, but in the best way. You're just watching a lot of baseball, so can't complain.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like for the week that we're there, it comes that way. I mean, it's awesome a week there. I mean, it was like 7 days, but like by the seventh day, you're just like, I'm ready to get out of here.
Yeah.
Lie in bed and stuff. I don't know what day it is and what's going on, but I think what's funny is like you mentioned, we're asking about last year and this year because last year you're
Mhm.
new, fresh. I think we were there the very first day you started, if I'm not mistaken.
You were there the very
We met
first
you.
broadcast I was doing. Yeah, so I was
Broadcast, okay.
there the week prior to that, I had been at Pirate City and then made the transition
That's right.
over to LeCom, but you guys were definitely there for my first broadcast, yes.
That's what it was.
Pretty
Yeah,
crazy.
because we went live. Cody, our little
Mhm.
puppy dog, got you on.
Yep.
So I'm gonna air something out here right now. Just to put it out there. I said I wasn't
Oh,
gonna say
no.
anything, but I'm gonna say something. So, like you mentioned, like last year, you're pretty overwhelmed. You would probably say your first broadcast, you're
Mhm.
probably trying to like straight, make sure you're doing everything right, right? Um, I thought you were excellent. I thought you were
Oh,
excellent.
thank
First off, your
you.
first year, the
Thank
first
you.
broadcast, just meeting you, excellent, right? Um, Cody felt a little unsure though. So I'm just gonna say
Oh.
this. He felt some bad vibes. So I just want to set the thing straight. I'm gonna ask you, was it maybe just you're a little overwhelmed, or did you like look at Cody and be like, I don't know who you are, buddy. Let's get out of here.
Oh my gosh, I hope I didn't make anybody feel like that. What the hell?
No, it
I
was like
was so overwhelmed.
we've
It's
been
my
making
first
fun of
broadcast.
Cody.
I might have embellished a little bit here,
We've been
maybe,
making
but
fun of him for a year.
Jeez.
We were like,
Intimidated by you guys more than anything because I didn't know anybody. I'm about to
yeah,
do my first broadcast. Of course I wanted to do a good job, right? Like it's a lot of pressure coming in when somebody like Robbie who had done this job for so long and people loved him and it's not easy to come in when there's already sort of a standard set and people are really comparative, I guess you could say. Um,
yeah,
and being a young female, people are always going to have their reservations about you and your knowledge and your capabilities. That's just the nature of this. But I remember when you guys came up to me, yeah, I was like, of course I'll do something. But I also didn't know what I was allowed to do. So that's also like a weird thing. I
mm,
actually got like not reprimanded for that, but like a slap on the wrist of like, hey, make sure you go through your PR person. And like
oh,
I have never had that before. So I didn't know. So like to your point of him probably being like skeptical of me, it's because I was so clueless and I was
yeah,
so afraid to do things and say things because I didn't know what I was allowed to do yet. And so that's also a big difference this year is I'm so much more comfortable and aware of like what I'm allowed to do, what I'm not allowed to do. And of course, being like the new kid on the block, you don't want to like say anything and then have a manager come up to you, like Derek Shelton come up to me and be like, why would you say that? Or someone say, and not that he like would, but in that case, it's not like I was saying anything wrong.
mhm,
But you just get so nervous. It's your first time. You're trying to prove so much. And I also had to do a pregame hit that day. Plus, I had no idea how the broadcast was going to work. I didn't know how things were set
oh,
up.
sure.
I didn't know how these guys were going to sit down and respond to me in a one on one setting. It was a lot. It was very overwhelming to your point. So I'm sure I did seem like off and nervous, but honestly, it's because I was probably more nervous and because of you guys more than anything, just because there was so
mhm,
much going on and I didn't really know my place yet. So I didn't want to overstep boundaries. So that was just me being like so careful more than
yeah.
anything.
No,
Awesome.
it
Because
was like I
like
said, it
for
was
one,
funny. We
Yeah.
we made fun of him so much. We were just like, Cody, it was our first broadcast. Like,
What a
like
hater. What a
I was like,
hater.
just chill, like chill.
and
Exactly.
that's the thing.
Cody's a
Like,
hater.
if you know Cody, again, he's our sad little puppy dog. He gets in his
Yeah.
feelings. He's that Gen X. He calls himself a millennial. He ain't a millennial. But yeah,
Well, you mean
like we're
Gen
trying to tell him,
Z?
but
Gen Z.
Cody,
Yeah.
it's her first time on here. Like chill. And he's like, I don't
Yeah.
know, man. She seemed kind of nervous around me. I don't know if she liked me. Did I do something wrong, guys? I'm like, you
No,
need to relax.
I
So
was
I'm glad to
probably
give you
just
the opportunity to set
terrified
things
that I
straight.
had no idea what I was doing at that point. point.
Well, neither did
Poor
we.
Cody.
So.
I'll have to give him a hug the next time I see him and make sure I didn't scare him too much. Jeez, let him know that I like him. I hope I showed him that this week. My goodness.
No, just like play into it. Like just keep giving, just like give off bad vibes to him forever. Yeah.
Actually, a quote this time was, "Hey guys, Hannah's really cool." Or like,
yeah,
Cody,
he's turned around. He's
go.
done a 180. He's done a 180.
It's crazy when she's not completely terrified to like lose her job every 5 seconds for like not knowing what she's doing.
Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want it to be like Hannah Mears loses job after one game because she talked to NS9.
Yeah.
So
I know. That's a real story though. That really happened to me.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to dive into stuff with you. Before I do, let me just read this from our sponsor, Bet Online. It's the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for betting on all the madness. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, Bet Online is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from college basketball to a $200,000 bracket contest. Bet Online continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every Cinderella story to every hat trick, Bet Online has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. Bet Online, the game starts here. All right. So let's start off just learning a little bit about Hannah Mears. So players that we know, they've got game day rituals, they've got routines, they've got things that they do before every single game. I was just wondering, like, do you, going into a game, do you have like a pregame routine or a ritual or like a good luck charm, something that you got to do every day before you get it, before the broadcast starts? What does your day look like really leading up to that broadcast?
Yeah, I guess it's funny. I don't know if I necessarily have like a structured thing I have to do that I run myself through, but I do notice a lot of the times. I mean, I'm a prepper. I do so much prep beforehand. So I feel like a lot of my stuff just has to be organized. I have to have everything in a document just so that it's in one place. Like I'm a very like I have to see it and lay it all out. But I've noticed that something I do is because baseball's so long, and it's not just baseball, it's just sports can be really consuming when you have to work in them. There's just so much you have to follow along with, and it can just jumble your brain that when I'm doing my hair and makeup, I will put on my phone and get like a Netflix show going or something and just completely check out. Like I can't think about sports for like 30 minutes because if I do, like I just drive myself crazy and I'm like, listen, there's nothing else I can possibly do at this moment that's going to prepare me more than I've already been preparing. So I feel like a lot of the times, yeah, like I just have to escape a little bit. So whether it's like that morning, and I usually find it when I'm drinking my coffee, doing my hair and makeup, and I put something on. I just have to like get away a little bit. And I always find myself doing that, whether it's for a Big Ten broadcast or whether it's for something with the Pirates. I always have to make sure I check out just a little bit at first, because if not, it really does get really, really, really consuming. And then you start to overthink everything and then you're worried about stuff. So I would say that's something that I try to do every day is just get my mind a little bit away from it so that when the time comes, I can be completely focused on it and it feels fresh and it doesn't feel like it's looming over you as something you have to do. But other than that, I sort of just try to show up happy, positive, have some fun, and watch baseball. Like I'm so blessed that that's my job and that's what I get to do. So I don't know if I have necessarily a routine, but yeah, that like 30 minutes is super vital for me to just check out a little bit and then so I can recenter myself when the time comes.
Yeah.
And let me ask you this, and you talk about, talking baseball and everything, like how cool is that also the hometown team? I mean, you graduate, you do your thing, and it's like you get hired and you're now working for the Pittsburgh Pirates, the team you grew up, watching and such. And of course, I think also luxury of staying home and not having to move far away. But like, how cool is that?
I'm so blessed. So blessed. It's a dream come true. I have now worked for every professional Pittsburgh sports team, which is super cool to think about and such a blessing and such a childhood dream of mine. To just stay in Pittsburgh and work for Pittsburgh sports teams is unbelievable. So the job with the Pirates is truly a dream come true. And, people are always so complimentary and they're always like, oh, like, we can't wait to see you on ESPN or do this or do that. And I'm like, thank you, like so kind, but also I'm so good where my feet are. Like I am so blessed to be in this position. Like it is very, very rare for people to actually do what they love and do it for the team they love. And I love the team aspect of things. I fell in love with that when I was at Penn State. I loved being able to really be immersed in it. I think there's something really, really fun about living and dying in those moments. It can also be really challenging because when you are a fan at the same time, when you're dying in those moments, you're dying right there with the guys. You feel so invested in it, but it is such a blessing. It's so fun. And when I'm with baseball being such a long season and you're traveling, when I'm home, I'm home, and that feels good. I can go see my grandparents. I can go see my parents and my siblings, and
Nice.
my family can come to the game. And I think that just makes it so much better. And I get to enjoy my job all the more when my family gets to be there and be a part of it as well.
I mean, was
Yeah, that's
baseball always the goal too? I mean, was this it?
Baseball was the
No?
last sport I ever thought I would end up in. And only because I feel like it. I don't know, I went to a school where football was such a priority. I was such a huge wrestling fan, so I was always kind of immersed in wrestling. I played basketball, so basketball came more naturally to me. I played soccer came more naturally. Um, Baseball just didn't have as many opportunities, I feel like, when I was in college, or else I wasn't as aware of those opportunities. I had never played softball, so I naturally didn't think I'd transition, whereas a lot of females, I feel like, in these roles, or not necessarily in my role, but I feel that pursue the baseball roles have had that passion in the past. So no, I never realized that, baseball would be there, but I always had interest in this local affiliate that broadcasted Pirates games coming out of college. I had reached to that, what was to then AT&T Sports, to see if they had opportunities available and things like that. So there was always interest. I just never knew it was a possibility. And you also didn't see a ton of turnover in Pittsburgh. So I just really never thought it would be
That's true.
possible. You
Yeah.
didn't, like, you see, which is what a privilege we had to see so many successful people for so long that we loved on TV. And then I got to work with so many of them too, which is really cool and full circle. But yeah, baseball was never necessarily the goal, but boy, it was like the best surprise in the world because I love it so much.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. All right, let's shift gears. Let's talk about something maybe not as awesome. We do have to address
I
this.
know it's coming.
We're not going to
Jim,
talk
this is
too
your
long
fault, by
about
the way,
it.
also.
I know it is my fault too. Like, I was hyping up Jared Jones all off season. What's insane is
Hannah doesn't know about the
That's
Rosati
okay.
curse.
Who wasn't?
yeah, I don't know if you know about the Rosati curse, but
Oh, don't
basically
talk about me then. No, I'm kidding.
it's awful. Like, literally, an hour before the Spencer Horwitz news came out, I was like, I'm really excited to see, like, the one guy I'm excited to see this spring is Spencer Horwitz. An hour later, boom, he has wrist surgery. He's not going to be.
Well, don't say anything nice about me on this broadcast then, okay? Say
I won't.
only
It'll be
things.
all bad stuff. Yeah.
Please.
Hannah's a horrible person. This is the worst
But then-
interview ever.
Perfect.
Cody
But,
was
like,
right.
Perfect.
But yeah, like Jared Jones, I'm just like, you know what? I feel like people are, because he didn't end the season as well as he started off. He had the injury in the middle, and he came back, and he struggled the second half of the year. And I was like, I think people are writing off just how good this guy can be. I was like, I don't know if he's going to do what he did those first 2 months, but he's going to be better than he was the last 2 months. And I was expecting him to play a really big part in this rotation. We don't have like we don't know how hard, how bad this injury is, but just to kind of, if you haven't heard of it yet, it's happened 10 hours ago. But Jared Jones experienced elbow discomfort after his last bullpen session on Sunday. That was Alex Stumpf reporting that. Noah Hiles also adding in that Todd Tomzek said that they are looking for a second opinion on the injury. Elbow discomfort, second opinion. Those are buzzwords that you just hate to hear. So I know you weren't around the team today, but I mean, what do you anticipate this doing to the locker room? Just like immediate impact.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, there's a lot of veterans in there who aren't going to let it deflate anything. And there's also a lot of young guys in there who still have a lot of great leadership and belief in themselves. And I would think first and foremost, they're all going to be there supporting Jared and not letting themselves get down because Jared wouldn't want them to be. Right. Like if you see the energy and what he pitched and how he pitches and the energy he pitches with, he would never want anybody to throw him a pity party for anything that he's going through. And I'm not speaking for him. I'm just speaking from the things that I've observed from him. And he will be there supporting people no matter what is going on. in his world. So I don't think it'll necessarily deflate, but yeah, it's definitely a bummer, right? Like this is a kid that everybody loves watching, including his teammates and including a guy like Paul Skeens, who that was his buddy last year coming up through the system. So it's definitely deflating, but I don't think it's going to deflate necessarily the clubhouse and how they are. There's enough, like I said, veterans in there that know what it takes to win. Also, people have seen injuries happens all the time in baseball. It's not uncommon. So these guys know what it's like and they know what a grind of 160 games of a season is like as well. So I think more than anything, it's going to be fine. It's going to be one day at a time, one step at a time. And that's sort of been the message the entire camp has been one day at a time, win every day and things like that. So there's definitely enough veteran leadership in there to keep the energy high and keep vibes going for the season.
Yeah. It's a bummer. I mean, that's the best way to put it. And I said, hopefully it's just a sore elbow and he's able to just take some time off and come back okay. But I don't know. We're Pirates fans. We expect the worst, like on everything possible. So
I mean, it is scary.
The timing's
right?
terrible.
Yeah, the timing's terrible, and it is scary. Anytime you hear elbow discomfort with a pitcher, you always assume the worst. Just as a baseball fan, your mind goes to worst case scenario. But you also just get really sad. This is what the part where I was talking about working for a team. When you get so live and die, right? Like you're with these people every day and you feel so close to them. So you feel for them when they're going through stuff like this. And I haven't been able to speak with Jared since all of this news is broke. And obviously you want to give people their space when this stuff is going on because there's a lot of uncertainty and things are happening. But yeah, I think everybody would be upset by something like this because Pittsburgh absolutely loved watching him last year, but that also will give him all the more motivation to get back on the mound whenever he can. So, yeah, it's definitely deflating. It stinks, but at the same time, there's a lot of talent within this organization, and it's a next man up mentality at that point.
Yeah, and we know. I mean, obviously, Oviedo already 60-day IL. There's a little bit of scare of like Bailey Falter, right? He had to miss some time because he had some soreness. Now Jared Jones. So again, we understand pitching's volatile and things can happen, but at this point in time, there's some nervousness. I mean, how do you envision or see the opening day rotation shaping up?
Yeah, I think hopefully these young guys in the minors are going to be ready sooner than later. But I mean, I think that's also motivation for them to get up here as quickly as possible to be able to help. Like I said, next man up mentality. But I think this is one of those things where you're looking at the offseason and you're looking at all of the pitchers who the Pirates did acquire and who you do expect to do well. And I think there are still a solid group of guys to choose from. We saw Thomas Harrington still in the big league camp. He's still confident in himself and what he can do. He could be plugged in. Carmen Majinski has been stretched out this spring. He's asked for opportunities to start. They've given him these opportunities, and there's no reason he couldn't be plugged in that way either. So I don't think the rotation by any means, is completely deflated. Yes, you don't want to see a guy like Jared Jones go down who you knew was going to be maybe your 2 or 3 guy in that rotation and could be. However, there are still a lot of young, talented arms in this organization. So I wouldn't hit the panic button too quick, especially when you have a guy like Paul Skeens leading the way. I mean, great things could happen. Mitch Keller's been such a consistent guy for this team. Bailey Falter, yes, he was experiencing that soreness, but it was just out of abundance of precaution. He looks fine ever since, and so on and so forth. So we'll see how things shake out. I mean, I think the Oviedo stuff, obviously in spring, that was really deflating, and for him more than anything because he worked so hard to get back. So there is so much talent. Injuries injuries are a bummer, man. And 160-day season, you expect them, but having them all this early is not ideal.
You say next man up.
True Jude asked, what are our thoughts on Paul starting all 162?
Yeah, wouldn't that be great? Or else,
right.
we got to be careful with his arm too. But Paul's he's been great to watch this year. I'm so excited to see him opening day. I mean, it's also so funny. I saw CBS cut a clip of me interviewing him, and I sort of asked, the allure and everything enamored and all the amazing things about opening day, and you're here, set him up for this great quote. And he goes, well, yeah, it's first day of the season. And obviously he was joking and laughed and there was more to say, but that's what they clipped. But that's just so Paul. That's how he approaches everything, but it's so deserved. So deserving to see him in that spot. Obviously, Mitch has been there in the past, and it would be just as deserved to see Mitch in that spot still. Mitch is a great guy in this clubhouse. He's a leader. Like I said, he's one of the most consistent people you can count on in this rotation. So I think it's just really exciting, though, to see a young guy like Paul get this opportunity. And I mean, he's intense, man. When he says he wants to start the season 1-0, he means it. And it seems like every time he steps on the mound, there's been some bats going behind him this spring. So we'll see if that translates over. Hopefully that translates over into opening day and gets everybody's spirits back up for sure.
Yeah.
Like, he's so ironically funny. Like you're saying, it's just so dry. His personality, it's like he has no personality, but like it's there. It's just, that's it. And you talk about intense.
He just knows how to show. He's intense. Last year, I think he was he wasn't trying to be anything he wasn't. He is who he is. However, his persona to the media is so serious. It's structured. It's everything. But there were times I feel like him and I would sit down one-on-one and you'd see those glimpses of his young 21-year-old personality come out last year. And we've had that more this year. I think he's more comfortable. He's established in who he is as a baseball player. So now he's letting bits of his personality shine through, but you just have to put him in the right moments for that. But yeah, he is funny. He's got a sarcasm about him. That's funny to watch. So that's been cool to that like quiet confidence come out in those ways and just watch him show himself a little bit more is really fun for Pirates fans, I think.
Well, it was kind of like you, right? Last year was his first spring, and now he comes back. Yeah, there you go. He knows how to do it now. So
yeah, exactly.
Like the confidence isn't too quiet either.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, that's what I love about him. Also, is like, I mean, that guy is one of the most. Maybe like I mentioned, maybe Bubba's a little more confident. He told him like next year he'll be starting the second game, but I mean, like Paul coming out saying like, I can't wait to start 1-0. And last year, the infamous. I mean, when you asked him the question, the infamous quote last year, when he was like to the Cubs, like, well, good luck. And then he comes out there and just mows the Cubs down. I'm like, this guy is something special.
Yeah. And I think that's great. Like he knows who he is, right? And that's the best part. And he's not afraid to say it. And I feel like in today's society, especially with social media, people get reprimanded so bad and say, you're just being cocky, you're being this. But I think he sort of changed the narrative there where people are like, oh, heck yeah. Like, go ahead and let him know, And I think that's so fun to see. And I think we see so many more young athletes doing that now. And I think it's fun to kind of shake it up. They're good and they know they're good. And he backs it up. So what are you going to say about it? And it's not like he's one of those people out here on social media chirping all the time. He's not even existed on social media. So in those moments where we do get that, it's even better, in my opinion.
Yeah. He's impressive. He's just impressive all around in pretty much every aspect of everything that he does. I'm curious to see how this shakes up. I mean, we're only really about a week left until opening day. You got to assume Jared Jones isn't going to be ready for opening day. I mean, if he skipped a start and he has a sore elbow, like he's not pitching off a mound probably next week. But the names you threw out there, Harrington still in camp, Majinski being stretched out. I think I'd be okay with either of those two, kind of getting that fifth spot. I think I'd probably rather go Harrington just because I still feel like if you go Majinski, you're still probably going with some sort of a piggyback bullpen game situation. Like I don't know if Carmen's going to give you like 6 innings every time out, and I really like him in more of a 1 to 2 inning type of role. I think he's just very effective doing that. So
yeah, he's got a good mind for that. He's a very even kill guy. You're never going to see him get too high or too low, which is also what would translate to a great starter, right? Like he would be able to go those innings and be really even kill. So I'd be happy in that way. But yeah, I do agree at this point without those build up in the innings, because there are only so many innings in spring too. It might be a little bit challenging, but not to say it's impossible. And I think there's a lot of good bullpen arms right now too that are competing for these spots. So those types of games could be really effective, but we definitely don't want to get into the ruts we were at points last year at the end of the season where the bullpen's getting slim because there were a few of those games and whatnot. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, it's kind of ironic that last year, I feel like coming out of spring, our bullpen was supposed to be the best thing about this team, and a lot of injuries and illness to the bullpen last year coming out of spring. And now the starting rotation was all we were talking about in spring, and now it's kind of flipped in that way. So it would just be nice to come out of one spring completely healthy, but that's also the name of the game, and you have to play with the cards you're dealt.
Yep. All right, let's go back to let's stop talking about bad stuff. What's
Thank you,
I mean,
Yeah, all good
again,
things, guys. Positive
this is
energy.
so again, we talked about second time at spring training, second time in camp. What's just like the energy been like when you compare it to last year's spring training? Is there a noticeable difference between kind of just the way that this year's club is carrying themselves as opposed to last year's club?
Yeah, the majority of spring, like I said, up until obviously the news today where Pirates fans, I think, feel a little depleted. It was walking there was just this I kept telling everybody, I was like, there was this really great energy. And I think part of it, and this is just me making assumptions because I don't know if there was a way you could put your finger on it. Um, but this young group of guys is so hungry to win. They're so hungry to win. Everyone felt so aligned in the goals that they were setting out to do. But more so than that, these young guys got a year of confidence and maturity. And so you felt their presence in the clubhouse. Last year, when you're a young guy, even though if you are somebody who you're confident in yourself and your abilities, you're probably still going to try to be a wallflower a little bit, kind of watch what's going on, make sure you're not stepping on toes. But this year, it was sort of just like everybody in there, these guys are confident, they know who they are, they're having fun. It just seemed like there was a great friendship happening. And I think people felt that. And if you would talk to anybody who walked in the clubhouse, you felt that. And it made it really exciting. It made it fun to come to work every day. It made it fun to see this great energy. People are hungry to turn things around. And I mean, it's hard not to feel that excitement, right? When you have a guy like Paul Skeens who did take more of a leadership mentality this year, and he goes out and it's like Jared Jones had said, he said he has this thing about him and everybody's watching him like, what's he doing? Should I be doing that? And I think that kind of stuff is infectious and it pushes people to want to be better and it pushes people to want to work harder because you see all of that. But yeah, it's been fun. There was a really, really exciting vibe throughout the clubhouse. There was a fun vibe, but more than anything, these guys were so hungry and they just seemed very aligned into the goals that they were setting out to accomplish. And last year, it's really hard for me to make a comparison because I think I was so overwhelmed and I didn't know what to expect. So I didn't
Mhm.
really understand, I guess. I wouldn't have a great comparison from last year. However, I could talk about the comparison from like an entire season. And I definitely noticed how confident and hungry and fun these guys were having and truthfully just ready to take on the season by storm because they believe in themselves and you could feel that radiating throughout the clubhouse.
Is there any one singular player you feel like took that next step, or is it just Paul Skeens?
I mean, I like it's crazy to think that Paul's still trying to add pitches to his arsenal, and you also just want to be like, let's just be really, really good at what you're already really, really good
Right.
at.
Right.
But he's just such a freak athlete that he can toy with that kind of stuff. But he's so self-aware too that I have confidence that if something's not working, he'll be like, okay, I'll be fine without that. Um, it's crazy, unfortunately, the news we got about Jared Jones, because I did feel like he took a step forward personally. I think we needed to see him mature a little bit. And it's crazy that we're experiencing like the elbow discomfort now because a couple of games ago I had talked about this. He got hit around a little bit in the first or second inning, and instead of overthrowing and
Mhm.
overextending himself, he stuck to his game plan and waited until Shelty pulled him out of the game. And Shelton commented on that after the game, saying, I was really, really proud of Jared Jones today because in the past we would have seen him overexert himself. We would have seen him
Yeah.
overthrow. So there were moments for sure that I felt like he was taking steps forward in maturity. He also just seemed a little bit lighter, more relaxed, and more confident in himself. So he was somebody. I think Nick York has been so fun to watch. There is nobody that exudes a confidence quite like him. So young and so new to a clubhouse, but he walks around with a swagger. He's one of my favorite people to sort of just observe about how he works and how he goes about his day, because he's just like a nitty gritty grinder type of guy. But he'll also just sit in his locker like a veteran and just be like, "What's up? How's your day?" And just so casual. He definitely has like an it factor about him, and I really hope things, he pops off at some point or finds that next level to his game to compete because I think he's a really fun guy to watch. So I would say when we're thinking about guys that like could take the next step or took the next step, in my opinion, I'm just so impressed by the fact that he came in late to a season, to a team, to a major league team, makes a debut, and then comes into a spring training with that same team. And all of a sudden, it's like he's been here forever and he's been doing this forever, because that's just who he is, and that's how you feel when you're around him.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if there's anybody who's maybe like flying under the radar a little bit, where they're not getting a ton of attention right now, but kind of just to warn Pirates fans, like, hey, like pay attention to this guy. Like, there's
Yeah.
something there. Is
Yeah,
York
Nick
kind of that?
York, I think,
York's
would
that
be
guy.
one of them for sure. Yeah, Nick York's fun. He's fun to watch. I
He
think he would definitely be that guy in that sense. Also because, there's that
Mhm.
absence at first base, and he's stepped up to try to get some reps there and try to work there this spring. So, do I think he's that guy? I don't know. There's other options that are obviously there and able to play in that position, but he's someone for sure. If you're talking about flying under the radar a little bit, I think he's somebody for sure that I think fans would really love. I think Pittsburgh would love to see him succeed as well. He just seems like that blue collar type of guy. But yeah, he's somebody that's been kind of flying under the radar. It's been great to see G1 Bay as well collecting some hits in the last few games. It's kind of hard not to pay attention to what he's doing. He's fun to watch when he plays. He's so fast around the bases, but he's been hitting for power a little bit. So he's been somebody I would say was surprising in that way, but also because last spring he
Mhm.
dealt with a bit of an injury and had a setback too. So it's been fun to kind of see him back at where he's peaking.
Yeah, he's been a doubles machine. Um,
Hmm. Yeah.
York, what the interesting thing with York too, I was listening to Effectively Wild podcast, the Fangraphs podcast the other day, and they did a special on um, breakout players to
Hmm.
watch. And they brought two guys on, and each of these guys put together a list of one player for every single team. And they had a different player on every single team except the Pirates. The Pirates were the only team that the two of them had the exact same player on, and that player was Nick York. So I feel like he's like the
I'm
people
telling you.
yeah, like I
uh-oh.
said, so under the
Hand knows
radar
ball.
breakout candidate. Yeah, like
Hmm.
he's a lot of
He
people
would be
who are
mine. Yeah.
watching. Yeah. A lot of people who are watching like what they see from Nick York. So
Yeah. And that's half of
That's
it
like
is
really good to
confidence,
hear
right?
because
Believing in
there's a
yourself.
real opportunity for him.
Yeah, there is an opportunity for him, and I think that's what the cool part is too. He just wants to be at the major league level contributing, so he hasn't backed down from a challenge of wherever they're putting him. And the Pirates love a utility type of player, and he can play a couple of different roles, and he can also be a power hitter at the plate when he's consistent and when he gets there. And I think when he figures it out and puts it all together, he could be a great weapon for this team and somebody. Yeah, for sure. If fans want somebody to root for, then that would be my pick.
Penn
Well,
paid
Hannah,
$2, so we
there
got
you
to put
go.
this up here. Do you think Jared
Yeah,
Triolo
do you
wins
think Churchill
MVP?
would? Yeah, I would give it to him. I love Jared Triolo. He's also, he's somebody that last year I think stepped up in such a big way and was so fun to watch defensively. It didn't matter where you put him. He was making a highlight reel play. It seemed like on Twitter or whatever social media app you were scrolling on that day when the Pirates played, you were going to see some sort of highlight of Jared Triolo. And we had him mic'd up on one of our SportsNet broadcasts. It's on there on social media if no one sees it. But he was mic'd up and made like a diving grab at
Yeah.
third base, and it was hilarious. He was
Mhm.
just like shocked to himself that he made the play, but then described it as, oh, it's just like a little step and dive. It was no big deal. But of course,
Just a
he comes
little.
off the field and tells me, and he's like, I don't think I said anything else after that. Like, that was so cool. And I was like, yes, you look very cool, Jared. Like, absolutely. It's out there. You looked really cool. Don't worry. So
It was
I
very
love
cool.
Triolo. I'm always rooting for him. I think he's a great player as well. He's fun to watch. So hoping that he can get that back going too, because that's been the biggest thing, right? We have so many guys who are talented in the field, but who can be that big bat for us that we need in the lineup.
Yeah. Let's shift focus to the coaching staff. I thought Derek Shelton was going to get fired over the offseason. Just that's what I thought was going to happen, especially after he, started yelling at Noah late in the year. But he's back.
Poor
The
Noah.
team obviously, yeah, right.
No, poor Noah. He gets what he deserves.
Yeah.
Ask
We
better
love
questions, Noah.
Yeah.
Noah took that straight on the chest. I gotta
Oh,
shout
it was
out
great.
to him for that.
It was great. That was funny. So like winter meetings, we were at the bar and I'm there with Noah and Derek Shelton's like right at the bar and Derek came up to Noah and was like, "Hey, how you doing?" So like there's no bad blood between Shelty and Noah.
No, not at
Um,
all. No,
no,
Shelty has a great relationship with all of us, but yeah,
yeah,
the beat reporters, he has such a great friendship and rapport with. So no bad blood there at all.
yeah. But speaking of Derek Shelton, like I mean, he's he's kind of on the hot seat. Like, this is year 6 of his managerial tenure, 5 straight losing seasons. Are you noticing anything different from him this spring as opposed to last year in just kind of the way he's caring about himself? Is there more of like an urgency type deal, or is it kind of just he knows what he's doing, he's a professional, he's locked in?
Oh, he's super locked in, and he's a
Mhm.
professional. Absolutely. I mean, I'm sure these guys hear the outside noise more than anybody, but and it's above my pay grade to comment on any of that outside noise for sure. But I will say this, that he's a guy who's very locked in. He's got blinders on. But he brings in the pieces 100% that he thinks will be the best for this team to win. And that's what he and Ben Charrington have done this offseason and put a focus on. And I think that it starts at the top, right? And the message that he's been preaching is win, but he knows how this team needs to win, right? Where the Pirates are a smaller market team. We know how they need to win. You're not going to look at them and think that they're going to be able to win the same way the Dodgers are. You're not going to be able to look at them and say they're going to win the same way that the Yankees are. But how they're going to win is winning on the margins and doing the little things right every day, winning the day, like Kutch was telling me, not getting overhyped about yourself in April. You need to just take it one day at a time. And that message came from Derek Shelton in the beginning of spring. And I think personally, when I walked into the clubhouse in spring and felt the hunger and the way that all of the players were so aligned in every single interview, when you asked them about their goal, it was to win and to win in Pittsburgh. And that started from the top. That started from Derek Shelton sitting everybody down in those meetings early on in spring and talking about it. So he's very focused. He has his troops in line, wanting the same thing. So that's all you can ask for at this point from him is doing the little things and putting things in place to be successful. And so far, I see him doing that, and I think it's working.
New hitting coach.
Mhm.
I've heard glowing reviews from everyone I've talked to, but what are you hearing anything from the players? Are you noticing anything just from the way that Matt Haig has kind of come in, and how do the players feel about their new hitting coach?
Everyone loves Coach Haig. At least from everybody that I've talked to, everybody loves Coach Haig. The things that I hear about him more than anything, and this speaks to me as a person, and I have personal experience now with him and can speak to this as well because I can tell you that players say this and that all the day, every day of the week. Um, because Daniel Vogelback had told me when I asked him about him in the beginning of spring, Vogie had obviously played under him and now is assisting with him with the Pirates. And yeah, hit collector Matt Haig, we're very familiar with him here in Pittsburgh. But
Oh yeah.
Vogie said what's really great about Coach Haig is he first and foremost cares about you as a person. And I know that that sounds like a simple statement, but it's true. These are professional athletes, but they're people first and foremost. And your hitting coach needs to know how you're feeling each day, physically, mentally, as a human being, before he can expect you to go out and do all of these things on a major league field. And so that's the first thing that I heard about him. And the second thing was, he knows how different people tick. He knows that they're individual. You can't expect, Key Brian Hayes to hit the exact same way that a guy like Andrew McCutchen does, or a guy like Brian Reynolds. Every single player is so individual, and I think he has a really good skill set for that. And he's just somebody that when he walks by you, he actually cares. Do you know when you hear, I tell people this statement all the time, when somebody will ask you, hey, how are you doing? Or like, hey, what's up? How are you? Right? Like, there's people who actually care to hear the response on the other end of that. And there's people who ask it as a formality. And Coach Haig cares about your response on the other end of that. He's not just asking you how you are as a formality. He gets to know everybody. He cares about people. Him and I have conversations daily. He cares about the people around him. He doesn't just only just focus on certain things happening on the field. It just immerses himself in the culture and cares about people, and you can feel that. And I think that that's done a lot of really good so far, just early on in spring with a small sample size. So I'm excited to see what he can do moving forward, because I also feel like guys are learning a lot and they're excited about working with him, and that's all you can ask for at this point.
That's interesting to hear, because actually
Yeah.
going back to when you're talking to Kutch just recently too, about him. And like
Mhm.
the one thing that stood out to me was like it's not even so much like hitting, just mentally, just what will you get from him.
Yeah.
So like
And I
you
mean,
talk
and
about the
you see
caring part,
that,
the talking and
right?
such.
Yeah, and you see that at the major league level. You're like, oh, this guy must just like mentally, there must be a block. There must be a block. And people speculate about that all the time, but it feels like, okay, but what are we doing about that? We're adjusting his swing. We're doing this, but maybe it's just as simple as sitting him down and being like, what are you thinking about when you're walking up there? And to say guys don't think about that is wrong, because last year when I was interviewing Brian Reynolds after a really good game that he had, and it was after a while when he was trying to get back, and we know he's one of the most consistent players on this team, but there was a point that wasn't up to his standards, so to speak, and then he had a really good game, and I was interviewing him, and he's like, yeah, I just had to sort of remind myself who I was and know that I could do this.
Nice.
And you hear that so much, and so much of this game is mental. So yeah, it is important when somebody notices that, for sure.
You've won him over for me right now. That's all I need to
Yeah.
hear. Because honestly, like
great.
something I've talked
fun.
about, I
He's
think
great.
like with this organization for years is just like the disconnect with communication. Like you can tell someone what to do. You can say what the right thing is, but how do you get that person to buy in? How do you get that person to understand, right? Like that true leadership. And just what you said, like, I feel like that's what's been missing in this organization for some time. So Hannah Mears,
you can feel it.
sold me on Matt Haig.
Yeah. Good. It's
Hey,
felt like a good community, and he's been a great addition to it.
So to put you on the spot, who's going to be the biggest beneficiary of Matt Haig being the hitting coach? Like, who's going to take that biggest step forward this year?
That's hard, because you also see all the work that the guys put in the off season. So it's like, what, did he have any part of that yet? No, he's obviously going to have an impact on everybody, but I'm going to say Henry Davis. I'm going to say Henry Davis. I would say Henry Davis or Jack Sawinski, because I'm really manifesting those two to have bigger bats this season, and we kind of necessarily need them to do well at the major league level. But I think those are two people that, when you talk about a mental approach to a game, definitely needed that mindset shift last year. And Henry talks about it more than anybody. He's an advocate for the fact that he was just overthinking too many things. He tried to change too many things at once, and he just had to sort of get back to who he was and why he was good in the first place. So I think he will be somebody that, could be a really big beneficiary of Matt Haig and what his approach is to the game.
That's great.
All right. Before we wrap up, let's do some fun stuff here.
All right, throw it at me.
What's been like the most fun moment of this spring so far?
The most fun moment of spring so far for me was my family got to come down, and my dad, who is probably the biggest Pirates fan I know, but also just the biggest sports fan, and he's such a huge influence for sports for me in my life. He and my little brother got to experience their first spring training together ever. So it was really cool to get to introduce them to a guy like Kutch, a guy like Paul Skeens, but also just all the staff behind the scenes who I get to work with on a daily basis. For them to meet my family was really important, and also just to get to have my family there doing what I love and getting to see what I do every day is really cool. So I would say so far that's been my favorite part.
That's a good answer. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It was really cool because like my dad is somebody who's like dreamed of doing that his whole life, right? And so not only does he get to come to spring, but like I'm here working for the team, and he gets to kind of see the behind the scenes of stuff too. So that was really, really fun for me.
Nice. I always feel like, especially baseball, just because there's so many games, just as a fan, you have a connection to not only the players that you're watching, but the people broadcasting the game to you. So, like you know, growing up a Pirates fan, being from the area, now you've got this job. What's your approach, and like how cool is it to just be able to really, I mean, people are basically watching the Pirates with you every night, right? Like that's kind of how I feel like it is. What's your approach to just like trying to make their experience as great as possible?
It's so surreal to even think about. Like when you say that, it sort of just like doesn't hit me that people are watching the game along with me. Like I'm a part of that. It's kind of weird to think about because I feel like, you know, when you're just like in your own little bubble, you forget that you're even on TV half the time talking about stuff. But I would say I really try to bring out the personalities of these players. I think something that sports lacks sometimes is, yes, you have to do so much of the X's and O's in the game in itself, but these people are human too. Like these athletes are human. And so I think bringing out the fun side of them is a really good experience for these fans. For example, getting Paul to be, like you guys said, like sarcastic and funny and show some of that in an interview, I take some pride in. Getting Brian Reynolds to joke about putting on 10 pounds of muscle, but doing it for the looks in an interview, like that's the kind of stuff I always try to take an approach of, like, my mom's watching the baseball game, but she does not care about the baseball game. She like does not care about the baseball game. She likes that kind of stuff. She likes the human interest side of things. So I really just try to keep in mind of finding the balance of like the human interest, but also the baseball, because I personally love the baseball side of things too. So that's something I'm going to nerd out over as much as I can. But I have to remember that there is part of our audience that could care less about that. So I think it's just finding the perfect blend of that, and it makes it really fun. And I want these people to see why I appreciate covering this team so much. These guys are like brothers to me. They're like family, and they're so fun, and there's so much more to them than just baseball. And so as much as I can bring that out of them is definitely what I strive to do.
What type of bribe did it take to get Brian Reynolds to make a joke?
Yeah. No, Brian Reynolds is funny. People like don't know that about him. But
so we need to
he's
hear
a
some of
really
that,
funny
because we don't get
guy.
that on
Yeah.
TV.
We get
No,
I mean,
you won't,
there's a
because he
tiny
thinks it's
bit
really
every
fun
now and
to be.
then. Yeah.
I feel like Brian has just like accepted himself as he likes the fact that he can just be like completely monotone on like regular like national media and stuff. Like that's who he is. But I'm like, Brian Reynolds is funny. He lets us into it every once in a while. And he's a dry humor type of guy. He's the type of guy that's going to drop like the really funny one liner out of nowhere. And you're like, did that just come from him? But that's his personality. He is funny. He does make jokes. You just have to know how to sometimes pull it out of him. And he has to be in the mood to do it too. It won't happen all the time. But yeah, he's actually secretly funny.
I'm not going to ask this exact question. Like I'm going through the chat here, but I do want to. Is Tommy Fan going to get mic'd up again, ever again, for the rest of the season?
Ever
Yeah,
again?
I don't know who didn't mute his microphone for that. But like, how perfect of an introduction to Tommy Pham was that, right? Like, we knew
Yeah.
that's actually probably like the least unhinged thing I think we could have expected based off of like other things we've seen. So that was good.
Probably.
I feel like that was good.
Yeah.
He also, after that,
Yeah.
really did a wonderful job. He had really great insight. He was awesome to listen to. So
It was a good
they'd mic him
interview.
up again if he'd want to. We just have to have somebody waiting on like a dump button or a mute button until we were absolutely ready for something.
Yeah,
Get that Grammy delay going.
He couldn't make it 15 seconds.
Not 15 seconds. Yeah. Nope.
All right. I got a couple rapid fire questions. So
go for it.
Rapid fire questions here. Living or dead, what's your dream? Like if you could interview one person, dream interview.
Oh, that's hard. I don't think I've ever really thought about that.
Ooh, on the spot.
Man, Mike Lang. Do you know what hurts me so bad? I would say like Arnold Palmer or Mike Lang. Arnold Palmer from being from Latrobe. It would just be really cool to get his full like spiel and just impacting an entire community of people, and just there's so much interesting things that he's been a part of. But I would say Mike Lang. That is one person in sports media in Pittsburgh I never got to meet in person, and I am so sick in my core about it. Because growing up in my household, you turn the TV down and you put up the radio calls to listen to Mike Lang's school calls. And I just admired the way that people listened to him and what he brought to the sport of hockey. And it was so fun. And gosh, I would love to have picked his brain. So that is one person I always wished I could have met. So I would say Mike Lang.
That's a good one. Yeah. I mean, I've never met Mike Lang, but everybody I know who has anything to say about him.
Yeah. I would have
great
loved to
guy.
pick his brain. Yeah. And I just wanted him to like give me my own like Mike Langism, you know?
Like a little Langism, yeah.
Oh,
Hannah-ism.
so much. I needed one.
Favorite player to interview?
Favorite player to interview? That's a tough one too, because there are quite a few. Joshua Palacios is always going to give you something. He's always going to give you some good energy, whatever's going on. So I think he's one of the people, you walk up there and you could have like no questions ready or anything prepared, and you know that he's going to have something fun to say. So I would think he's one of my favorite people to interview for sure. He's a lot of fun.
Favorite road city? Favorite city to visit?
Oh, Chicago. Chicago is a lot of fun to visit. Yeah.
Good answer.
There's
It's my favorite.
there's a lot of fun to be had in Chicago. There's a lot of good food. So I would say Chicago for sure. Also, there's something really nostalgic. I know we played against the White Sox as well, but there was something really nostalgic as a baseball fan to go play in Wrigley. That was really cool. So I just think there's something about Chicago. I really liked being there in the summer. I thought it was fun. I'm glad we got to go there a couple times in the year.
Favorite moment from last year?
Favorite moment? That's tough. Oh, I do have a favorite moment from last year. I sort of have like a fan one and a baseball one, I think. My favorite like fan moment, I would say last year was my parents came to a game, but not just my parents, my entire family, aunts, uncles, cousins, and they all made like We Heart Hannah Mears shirts and sat in a big section together, which was hilarious. But it was also just like so fun to like I have so much support in my family, and it was just really cool and really special for me to have that. And that was something that I'll just like always cherish. It's really cool to have like a whole family experience like that. And I'm such a family person, like they're everything to me. So those moments mean the absolute world to me. Baseball moment, tough. It's like Paul's debut was so cool for me just because as a sports person, those types of moments are what you work for. Those like big moments in your career to get to cover. And I felt so honored to be able to do that. It was unbelievable. And then Kutch's 300th homer was also really cool because as a Pittsburgher, you know, you're like, that's Andrew McCutchen. Like I grew up watching and idolizing him. Now I get to cover him and not just that, like be a friend to him now too, which is crazy. And like, he's such a cool person. And he's like the definition of like, you meet your heroes and you're like, oh, great. I'm really glad he's actually cool. But he really is. And so to get to be in that moment with him and not just in that moment in Philly. So it's at least in a city he has played for. And the coolest thing he said in that interview was, you know, it's tough to be liked on both sides of the state. And it's so true. Like try to name another athlete. Maybe Marc-Andre Fleury is probably the only person that could be liked anywhere else. After covering all of his stuff this year with his retirement and like his final series. But I would say it is hard to do that. And Kutch did it. And to hear that place erupt for him for that moment. And then the ball to land in the one Pirates hands in the outfield was just so cool. So that's a moment I will absolutely always remember because I just thought that was really cool. Like Kutch would have been somebody I always wanted to interview in Pittsburgh. So that was really cool.
Well, if you're friends with Kutch, tell him to see what DiNardo needs to do to be unblocked.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
man.
Tough.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Kutch is a little unforgiving, I think, in that way. So that's tough.
Unbelievable. It was funny though, because when we were down there a couple weeks ago, you could tell he every time he walked past our booth, he just like snickered. That it was. I think.
Oh
he
yeah,
knows
he knows.
He knows.
He's aware.
He knows. Yeah.
Just know that Kutch reads everything. Kutch reads everything. It
Well, he
just
read my
depends
tweet
on whether
that
he
night.
wants
There
to
you
act
go.
about it
There
or
you go,
not.
DiNardo. So don't say anything bad about Kutch.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I mean, everyone knows it, but just give Hannah some insight. I love Kutch. I stand up for him all the time. Talk nothing but great things. He goes 0 for 4 one night with I think 3 strikeouts. Right, the third strikeout. I think this is when this was in Philly too. I think maybe
It was like 2
Yeah.
days before he hit his 300th homer.
Yeah. And he goes 0 for 4, I think, with 3 strikeouts. The last one looking again. I was like, come on, bud. Like, you got to swing the bat. And he quotes me and he said, okay, coach. And blocked me. And I'm like, the one time and that was even bad.
Oh, man.
The one time I say something like criticism and he blocked me. So, but no, honestly, like, I don't want to be unblocked. Keep that going. Don't tell him.
Yeah, I won't tell him.
Keep it going.
I can't tell him either because I feel like he'll be like, do you know what he did? No, you're on your own with that one, buddy. You dug yourself into that hole. He'll block me next.
Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah, that's true. You don't want to get on his bad side.
No.
Couple other questions. Because they basically I don't know if they make you do this or if you just do it on your own, but ballpark food at PNC Park. What's your favorite?
Oh, you guys are setting me up for this one. You want me to say the Renegade Dog?
No, be honest.
Yeah. I've never had the Renegade Dog, I think it would be good. Yeah.
Good. It really wasn't bad. Like I wasn't lying giving that review. That was completely honest. But I also eat just about anything that's put in front of me. Like I'm not a picky eater. But I would say like I'm the person who goes to a ballpark and like nachos and cheese is my ballpark food. I'm like a nachos and cheese kind of gal. So aside from like a dollar dog night, like nachos and cheese is where I'm going. Just because I feel like $1 for a hot dog, like I can't pass up a good deal. But yeah, nachos and cheese is definitely my ballpark food choice.
The staple.
I'm
and then it's an
glad you
off
say that.
day. It's an off day during the season. You're in Pittsburgh. What's your favorite off day activity?
Oh, playing with my dog, spending a whole day with my dog.
Nice.
Yeah, I usually take her to my parents' house because she likes to play with their dog, and so like my ideal off day is going to my parents' house, getting to go see my bubba or my grandparents, like anybody, all my family out that way, and getting my dog to play with my parents' dog. It's like so fun for me. So I miss my dog so much down here right now. So my ideal off day is spending every minute of my blessed time with her.
Did you say what kind of dog it is?
She's a mini Bernese Mountain Dog. So she's Bernese Mountain Dog mixed with the King Cavalier like Spaniel. And she's the sweetest thing ever. She gives such good hugs, and I miss them. Miss them so much.
Aww.
I know.
Not in Florida
I sent her
right
toys
now
to my parents' house the other day. No, she's staying with my parents, and she's having the time of her life because they live on like a lot of property, and they have a dog. So she's thriving, and she went to my grandparents today, and they fed her like a whole thing of popcorn. So she's having a really great time.
She's loving life
probably
right
not
now.
gonna
Yeah.
come home with me. But yeah, she's great. I miss her.
Here you go. Cody has spoken. He says Hannah is cool.
Oh,
so there you go.
thank
There's the
goodness.
180 from Cody.
Thank you, Cody. I appreciate it. My goodness, I'm sorry that you hated me for so long. I'm glad we got that resolved. Goodness, here I am being so nice to this guy, and it didn't matter what I did. No.
Exactly. Right. No,
I'm being
you should.
so supportive, so nice.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he
Awful human being.
he basically just ran up to you in the middle of the show and was like, "Hey, hop on real quick," and you did it, and then there you go. He thought you hated us.
And I didn't even know I was allowed. I got in trouble for that for you, Cody. And then he's back here talking crap about me. What the heck?
Unbelievable.
I got in trouble for him. I hope he knows that.
Unbelievable, Cody. All right. Well, hey, thanks again for hopping on. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you guys.
I think everybody. I do want to ask you one thing. Because again, you brought the renegade dog, and I have to say, I actually spit on that thing for so long. What a terrible idea! What a terrible garbage item that is. And I ate it, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is good." So I had to step back and say, "Okay, I'll give them the opportunity to win me over." The Polish cannonball's coming out this year. I'm sure you haven't tried it yet, but
I know
do you have any
I haven't tried
thoughts on that one?
I feel like anything fried into a ball, like I'm probably gonna like to like dip it in something, but only like I don't know. I like fried food. I like I said, I am not a picky eater. So I think if you fry anything, it's probably gonna be good. But here's my thing with like super hot food on a 90-degree day in a ballpark, it's just not my thing. But I actually think those could taste pretty good, like a one bite type of deal. But yeah, I'm gonna have to do like a food tasting thing when we get back to PNC Park to see.
Well, I can't wait for that content.
100%.
Yeah, I need that. I know. Hot dogs on camera though, not my best look, and I was setting myself up for all the memes on those.
Sure.
Yeah, not great. But you know what?
My picture's flown around on Twitter as well. So
that's cool. We've got this. Yeah, we have the same pictures of DiNardo, so you're good.
Perfect. Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Your
but
pain.
Thanks to everybody for all like the nice comments below too. It's been really nice to get to like meet all your little fan base in here. It's fun.
Yeah. Appreciate you coming on. Where obviously we can find you on SportsNet Pittsburgh every Pirates game. Where else can people find you?
Yeah, really live on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it now, at Mears Hannah, and then on Instagram at Mears Hannah, and then if you guys are looking for some content on your off day tomorrow, all those Pirates fans, head over to my YouTube page. All the one-on-one interviews we do during the broadcast are posted to my YouTube page to keep up with everything that the guys are talking about. So it's been really fun to get to I've been doing a lot this year to just try to put our guys out there and just see their personalities more, but also I've been doing a better job, hopefully, of collecting everything to put it out there for people who haven't tuned into the broadcast to get to see.
Good stuff. Awesome. Everybody go follow Hannah. Go subscribe to her YouTube channel. Again, thanks so much
for the intro.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it was perfect. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm really glad we mended a bridge tonight too with Cody and I. All my love. Yes. But no, thank you guys. You guys are so great, and I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah.
Well, you
no,
too, Hannah.
definitely.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Just to tease a couple things here. Friday is our final spring training postgame show before the season starts. Hopefully, the Pirates are 0-2-1 so far in our spring training postgame shows. We need a win.
Guys, all this bad energy.
Yeah, we need a win because we want to give away some Primanti sandwiches. We're going to get 4 Primanti sandwiches every Pirates win. So we need the Pirates to win. Yeah, we need the Pirates to win so we can give out some sandwiches before the season starts. But hopefully we give out many, many more sandwiches during the rest of the season. So that'll be Friday. So make sure you come here after the Pirates win Friday night. And then Starbucks Monday. I think those are the next 2 things we've got on tap. So everybody like the video, subscribe to the page if you haven't. Follow Hannah, subscribe to Hannah's page.
Go Bucks.
I'm Jim. That's Donardo right there. We'll see you guys later. All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube, if you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.